tires with spike strips or anything like that. So I guess maybe so far they're just in kind of a more gentle mood so far tonight. You know, we'll see how much longer that lasts, how much longer they will allow this to go on. But we haven't seen the insane speeds at all. I mean, we're barely even seeing the speed limit on some of these streets. So so far they're just being extremely patient with this one. As we widen out, you can see just how many units are involved in this one. We're right up against the Santa Fe Dam here off Arrow Highway and River Grade. There's the dam right there to the left, you can see. But and as we zoom in here, I know that there was questions about if there's anyone in the passenger seat. A little bit dark there, but I don't believe so. It looks, I haven't seen any movement coming from that side, so I believe this person is the only person in the vehicle right now.
All right, this is breaking news here on KCAL News at 10. As you can see, the CHP in pursuit of a suspected DUI suspect. Again, Desmond telling us that we do not believe that there are any passengers inside this car, but we've been in the San Gabriel Valley area for a majority of this pursuit, and we're wondering if that's because the suspect is familiar with these streets. They haven't been going very fast, as you see here, pretty much speed limit. 35 miles per hour on this street, I imagine, is about the speed limit. And they have been obeying the speed limit, but we did see them run one red light and also start speeding a little bit on the freeway. But outside of that, we haven't seen any big movements that we might pin down that this is actually a DUI suspect. Hard to tell. Mike Rogers at the desk with some new information for us now.
Yeah, Susie, I'm listening. CHP officers have run the plate. They know who the registered owner is. It does not come back stolen. So what they're doing right now is asking sheriff's deputies, or if they've got some CHP units, to go to the house where this was registered, talk to the resident there, and see if anybody can get this guy on the phone. So what they wanted been working the phones out there. Monterey Park Police didn't answer. That's not uncommon. They're a smaller agency. We have a really hard time getting a hold of them, especially during an incident. So we'll have to wait and get some more details from them. But if it's, possible DUI driver would lead me to believe, like we talked about, a simple traffic infraction or weaving or something that made them believe this person is under the influence and tried to make that stop. Yeah, I
mean, they're driving within the lanes, driving at speed limit or, lower than that more often, I think. Than the speed limit, and we still haven't seen the CHP come in with a pit maneuver or any kind of talk about spike strips, right, Mike?
Right, yeah. And, to your point, even going so far under the speed limit could also be indicative of being under the influence. Sure. This kind of aimless driving, the crossing over the center line, all of that kind of stuff could be signs of somebody that is possibly impaired. Is it an alley or a driveway?
Yeah, it looks like a...
Yeah, I think we're going into an alley right here. Let's see if this comes out the other side somewhere. So, yeah, we're just in the Bradbury area here off of the 605 and the 210. But first time we've been down in an alley like this. This is calling this Sierra Court, apparently here.
Is he going eastbound?
So, it looks, I believe we're going westbound right now. And this is going to be coming back out, but there you see the freeway off-ramp right there. So right there from the northbound 605 where it ends on to Mount Olive Drive. So just skirting right along the 605. So now we're going to be headed south, and there's someone there coming out in the yard wondering what all the ruckus is with all these helicopters and all these bright lights out here in an otherwise pretty quiet neighborhood. So coming, still just getting along here. I mean, we're just kind of idling here at about 10 miles an hour. Just what are they doing here? Maybe just running out the clock, and where is this going to lead? Let's see. I mean, now we're up against a wash. Looks like this will come back out, though, out onto Central Avenue.
Yeah, that's incredible, just the low speeds that we've been traveling at. But we have seen this before as well, as Mike was mentioning. This could be because of the fact that they are DUI right now. And it's unclear. We've also seen non-DUI suspects who travel at this rate of speed just to taunt officers. We've seen the whole gamut, obviously, but the CHP not giving up this one, and we haven't seen any stopping methods just yet. But it's curious because we have been in the San Gabriel Valley this entire time, as Mike Rogers at the desk was referring to. Law enforcement agencies have now identified who the owner of this car is, so they are contacting that person, and it did not come back as a stolen car, as Mike was mentioning. So we do know that this car is, who knows, it could be their friend's car, it could be a family member's car, we don't know, but they are making contact with that owner right now to see if they can make contact with the driver.
And Mike, you know, with those two traffic breaks, and it seems like they've had several opportunities to throw out spike strips. Are you surprised they haven't yet?
A little, yes and no. I mean, if the want is only DUI, CHP tends to be more aggressive when it's a bigger want, if you will. If the suspect is wanted for something a little bit more. Des and I have a joke. This is the Baldwin Park office of the CHP, and they chase motorcycles like 9 times a week out in Baldwin Park. We never can get to them because they always lose them. But you know, these guys are not unfamiliar in pursuits, and so I was also a little kind of surprised that they kept it. It's just a DUI driver. It's on surface streets, but they haven't wanted to hand it off to any of the locals. They're content with keeping it. But I think that if this was a more aggressive pursuit, if he was driving more dangerously, if the want was a little bit more serious, then we may see those a little bit more aggressive moves from CHP. But CHP is, you know, kind of a little bit on both ends of the spectrum. They can be very aggressive sometimes, or they can be perfectly content to let this, you know, go until it stops, until the driver decides to give it up, as we kind of come up against the train tracks here.
Yeah, it looks like we're parallel.
Yep. So we're up against the Gold Line tracks right here, westbound. Then basically, we're over the top of City of Hope Cancer Center right now, to give you an idea where we are, south of the 210 freeway. So we cross there on Highland Avenue. In fact, I think that may be where he's, you see Hope Drive there on our map tracker. So that's where he's indicating that he's going to turn. Or maybe he's just going to do a U-turn here or what. But once again, stopped. I mean, in the crosswalk, but he is stopped at the red light, and the officer is going to patiently open their doors again with their weapons drawn, as they've done several times now at this point. I'm just listening to the radio traffic here, and as we do make that turn, I think we are going to be, we are headed to City of Hope Cancer Center. So let's see what happens next. But I'm just hearing them calling out the streets. The officer inside seems very calm, and no sense of urgency. Well, now we're into a parking structure here. We'll see if we can come around to the other side, or we're just on the outskirts of the parking garage here. So hang with us here as we come to the other side of this garage. You see the spotlight there. It's still LA County Sheriff's deputies, a helicopter, and I think 1 second here as we try to get around this parking structure. Well, now they're on the south side of it.
Okay, looks like they're inside that park.
Of course, they keep going where we're not at.
You can see them just right under the awning of that building there, on the left side of your screen, perhaps going into a parking structure?
Yeah, it looks like I'm listening to the radio traffic. So the road ended now, and it looks like he is going into that parking structure. The CHP officer's right behind him. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have anywhere to go. We'll see if he just drives all the way through it, or if he stays in there. We're listening to the radio traffic right now, but you saw all those units go in there, and this would be a great opportunity for them to try to stop him while he's kind of contained in this parking structure. Certainly the last thing you wanted to do is be able to, you know, get any kind of access to the hospital or anything like that.
Right.
Well, you know,
they're coming back out. Yep, they're there.
Oh, there they are.
Oh, yep.
Oh.
Okay, so interestingly enough,
So did he actually go into
another weird little diversion there?
So did he actually go inside the parking structure?
It appears that he did, and I guess I guess it's not one of those structures that has like an arm or anything there where you have to take a ticket or anything like that, because it just went right in and right out. So, but now we are back out, and so I mean this is the second strange diversion that we've had. You know, earlier again when we just before we went to air, they were around the West Covina Mall, circling around that at only about 20 miles an hour. So we're really just kind of parading around the San Gabriel Valley. You know, I mean, it seems like the suspect knows where they're at. I mean, they went into that alley and then came right out the other end, you know, knowing that that it wasn't just a one-way or a dead end or anything. And I'm just trying to think where if this comes, if we're thinking that this person lives in like an unincorporated area, you know, there are quite a few of those in the eastern San Gabriel Valley. There's some areas kind of around West Covina, Baldwin Park that are unincorporated, so you know we're not too far away from where this person, where we believe that this car may be registered to. But we'll put the speedometer back up there for you, and you can see it's kind of still just doing as we've been doing now for about the last half hour, just about 20-30 miles an hour, primarily on surface streets.
Same speeds and same actions they've been taking. We've seen them going to 2 different parking lots, as Desmond was referring to. They stopped twice. at a left turn lane to look back at officers and say a few words and then continue once again. And they stopped 2 times on the freeway when this pursuit was on the freeway. And it looks like they continue to go at slower speeds. But again, we have not seen any stopping methods. You know, oftentimes, you know, when not a lot of cars are around, and the safety is, of course, the #1 priority. But when there are no cars around and it is an ideal time to do so, you know, they can pit this car and turn it around and stop this vehicle, but they haven't done so yet.
Well, and even this, where he's at right now, there are only like 3 exits to this, and this is one of them where he's on Evergreen right here. He just seems to be very aimlessly driving around. I mean, there is, oh, here we go.
He's stopping again.
Yep. And, you know, we are now listening to CHP wanting to do some things to try to be done with this as we kind of course, come under the 210 freeway here.
And Mike, also you mentioned this is someone, a suspect that the police have identified. They know who he is, and we're getting information on them trying to.
They at least know who the registered owner is. So yeah, it's always hard to tell if the registered owner is actually the driver, or if it's a family member, relative, friend, whatever. But yeah, they at least know who the registered owner is, and we haven't heard if they've actually been able to get somebody to that house and make contact with anybody that may be at that location. They're still, you know, trying to sort that out. But now the airship is saying, hey, let's get in place and, you know, see if we can do some things here to kind of help this, you know, come to an end.
Yeah, oftentimes what officers will do when they get that information of an address of the owner of a car, they'll contact that person and see what their relation is to this person. Do you know this person? And if this car did not come back as stolen, then more than likely they do know this person. And then they'll ask them questions as to, you know, where were they? What transpired before this?
And their mental state. Is there, are they having a mental health crisis? Is there something going on here? Is there, you know, a lot of information they can gain by just figuring out who this person even is.
Yeah, and with them, with the suspect driving so close, you know, you got to ask the question. We wonder if that call has been made to him, if he has spoken with family members or friends or people that police have spoken with.
Yeah, there could be lots going on in that car right now that we don't know about, obviously, but we have seen that person put their head out the window and, you know, put their hands up during multiple times during this pursuit, and appeared to look like they're going to surrender to police, and then they just put their hands back on the wheel and get back in the car, and they never came out of the car, but their hands back in the car and continue driving. And that's happened multiple times, and that's when we, you know, start thinking, okay, first of all, this is a DUI suspect, obviously, so they can be acting in a certain manner or whatever that is, but also just the fact that they could be taunting police, that, you know, they know that you know, they're going to continue and get out of their cars, and, you know, whenever it comes to a stop, that's the protocol. They have to get out of their cars and draw their guns, and that's what they've been doing. But when the suspect continues, obviously a very frustrating situation for the CHP, but we have seen this before.
And just kind of this bizarre pattern of driving too, where sometimes we're abiding by traffic laws, sometimes we're not. Now we're at a stoplight. Sorry, I was listening to some radio traffic. Irwindale PD is trying to get involved in this, and they don't want them to do that either. So, you know, CHP still dealing with this, and really slow speeds, and this, you know, now we're stopping at the red lights. Now we're using turn signals. It just, who knows what this person's thinking, and or what, you know, is going on through their head while they, you know, evade CHP here.
And in some of those stops, we see the suspect gesturing out of the car.
Yeah.
Even at some point, it seemed like he may have been asking, like, why, or, you know, or talking to himself or someone in the car, or with officers. Even at one point, we saw him clasping his hands inside, maybe like praying hands or something. We want to go back up to Desmond Shaw with the very latest over this DUI suspect pursuit.
Well, yeah, here we are, you know, Central Avenue, and it's just really kind of the, like, slow tour of the San Gabriel Valley that continues this evening, that began with Monterey Park PD and then made its way over to West Covina, and now, so we, you know, started in the West Valley, then the East. Now we're on the north side here, north of the Santa Fe Dam recreation area on the border of Duarte and Irwindale, the city of Azusa up here. And the suspect just really content to keep these really low speeds going. You know, I thought I did hear a little bit earlier one of the dispatcher that was communicating with one of the officers in pursuit here that they did make contact with the registered owner, so that maybe they were trying to get a contact number for this person, see if they can get their cell phone number and try to see, you know, what the deal is with this. As we're back out here, and again, as Mike was hearing as well, they're definitely formulating a plan to see if they can bring this to an end with the way that this suspect is driving pretty predictably and so docile. They definitely have a lot of opportunities to get out here and bring this to an end if they so choose. And it's just so interesting with CHP because we've seen, you know, especially because they didn't initiate this, we've seen other instances with, you know, relatively minor offenses like this where they get requested to come in, like what happened with this, and then they just say, oh, you know, it's on surface streets, we're giving it up. You guys can take it back if you want. But that's not what they're doing here. I mean, they've now been in pursuit on this one actively for quite some time, and mostly, you know, a lot more on surface streets than on freeways. So you just never know how CHP is going to handle one of these situations, as we see again with the window down and him talking to officers here, almost, you know, I don't know if he just thinks that if he just yells at them, they're going to leave him alone, but it is not the case, sir. It would be better to just get out in handcuffs now than be in handcuffs later with flat tires or with some damage to one of your bumpers.
Desmond, thank you. And Mike, we were talking about this earlier, about the traffic breaks. We saw one on the 605 as well as I-10 when the driver was there on going west, and how this driver has been driving, and the several times he stopped and gesturing to police. And, you know, we keep calling this a possible DUI suspect because, you know, obviously police in the beginning got some kind of information about this driver and possibly the way he was driving.
Right, yeah, and, you know, even in that last stop, when he stopped the stoplight or the traffic light there, you could see him. He's still very agitated, very emotional with law enforcement. Are we in a parking lot now, Des?
Yeah, we are getting into a parking lot here. Bradbury and Bloomdale Avenue will just widen out. I mean, there are quite a few car dealerships here in the area. This is a big shopping center that looks like it is shut down for the night. I believe that's a Target there on the left. So, I mean, the you know, randomness kind of continues. One big shopping center in West Covina, City of Hope Cancer Center and their parking garage, and now into another huge shopping center here. And there you can see, you know, another unit that is just in the area, and it's just so easy for the authorities to have officers all over the place if they want for the suspect. If they do decide to get out and run, you can kind of see them almost able to like predict the future because the suspect has been, you know, so going so slow. But back out of that parking lot now, back out onto Central Avenue, which we have been on for some time. So just another little random diversion here as we parallel the 210 freeway there.
All right, thanks a lot, Desmond. Once again, we are following this possible DUI suspect. We've been on the chase for probably about 40 minutes, if that. Once again, a suspected DUI driver here started in Monterey Park, then going on West Covina there, parading around the mall parking lot there, then hitting the west the 10, then also crossing over to the 605. At times, we've seen him actually stop the car and gesture to police, and then police get out with their guns drawn, and then the suspect drives away. Once again, a possible DUI suspect. We've also seen him go inside that parking garage there at the City of Hope Hospital, then another one at one point on a side street in a neighborhood, thinking that he would at least at some point there surrender to police, but he ended up stopping, doing what he's been doing all night, and then going. Mike Rogers, police do have information on who this car belongs to.
Yeah, at least the registered owner, they are making contact with that person in hopes of being able to make contact with the suspect so that they can get him on the phone, tell him to stop, tell him to pull over, or at least have some communication. Clearly, he wants to communicate with them.
Okay, well, we've been following this pursuit for a little bit of time now, certainly starting in the 10 p.m. hour, I would say closer to 10:45 p.m. We're going to be making some adjustments coming up here pretty soon, so I want to give our viewers enough time to make some changes with us if they would like to. For our KCAL viewers, we will be returning to regular programming. However, if you want to follow the chase, turn to CBS Channel 2 right now. And this is CBS Channel 2, KCAL 9 News at 11 p.m. We have breaking news that we're following at this hour, a DUI suspect pursuit in the San Gabriel Valley.
Desmond Shaw is live in SkyCal right now with more. Des?
Mountain Avenue and San Bernardino Avenue for some time now. We're right by the 210, kind of on the edge of Duarte and Irwindale. So near the 210 and the 605. Oh, look at this. CHP getting out with the, oh boy, they had the spike strip there. Unfortunately, that was not a good attempt, and it looks like that may have spooked this suspect. They had a really long opportunity there, and unfortunately, I don't know if the spike strips just got tangled up or what, but the officer just came out and he was trying to unfurl it, and it did not work, and now the suspect has taken off. So now he may realize that the jig is up, and we'll see a lot of times the suspects, panic when they see something like that happen. So now we'll see how CHP decides to respond to that, and if the suspect's going to make a more serious effort to get away, or what the reaction is going to be. But we are down on Mountain Avenue here near Monrovia. Pat and Chauncey. All
right, he seems to be slowing down again, Desmond, which makes you wonder just exactly what the game plan is here for this driver. You've said he's been driving rather slowly until that spike strip was thrown, and then he started to pick up speed. He's in a residential neighborhood here in the San Gabriel Valley, so you wonder, I think you guys have been talking about this for most of the time this chase has been on the air, as to why they wouldn't just do a pit maneuver with the suspects unless they know some kind of information that we don't in terms of why they would not do that.
Yeah, Pat, I was been pretty surprised that they haven't. I mean, especially there was a time there where they had a traffic brake running on the 10 freeway, and the freeway was just theirs to do anything with. And then we got into some really industrial areas where there was nobody out, really no cars on the side of the road. But CHP just didn't take that opportunity. Now, I did hear them talking about those spike strips and trying to get somebody ahead of them. And unfortunately, they were just missed it by just a couple of seconds being able. What was that?
Oh. That didn't look like a patrol car. Wow, that was another motorist, right?
I guess trying to stop him.
I think he might have just, I think just inadvertently almost got involved in all of this. But they turned back off, and maybe they were just kind of surprised by all the red lights and the spotlight overhead. Not sure. Kind of a weird one there.
And I don't know if we can re-rack that video, but Des, what happened there? It kind of happened fast. It looks like the officer went out to put the spike strips, but it just, he didn't get out in time, or?
I wonder if it just got like jammed or something, the spike strips, because a lot of times they're rolled up. So if you don't unfurl it properly, I could see something going awry there, and it's kind of looks like that's what happened. He might have gotten kind of nervous because, I mean, he came right out in front of the suspect's vehicle, was definitely putting himself in some danger there, and so he tried to do it kind of quickly, and it just didn't work out that time. So, and it's there have just been so many opportunities for spike strips or pits, and now, I mean, if we know that they're willing to do a spike strip, we'll see if they decide to throw the pit maneuver in there as well. I'm wondering if they're hesitant of that because maybe they want to see if they can get more information from the other person, from the registered owner of this vehicle, if they can find out, do you have any reason to believe that this person has a weapon or something? We know that if authorities believe, or strongly suspect that a suspect has a weapon, especially a gun, then they're not going to do a pit maneuver. So I don't know if that's something that they suspect. That's one of the only things that I can think of. But, if you're willing to shred someone's tires, you may just be willing to spin them around and damage their bumper to bring this to an end as we go into another parking lot here. This one, though, I'm not sure that there's an outlet for this one.
Well, yeah, they might be coming to an, well, yeah, there, it looks like a dead end there, Desmond, so, well, he's going to go around. It's just interesting how this person is driving at these, I would say, low speeds here, but able to just sort of make his way, sort of like being in a maze, around the neighborhood. and around through parking lots that have dead ends. And he's just been fortunate that that was just not a brick wall there, and he couldn't. He was able to make a left turn and leave that parking lot. But you know, looking at the vehicle here, Des and Mike, and you know better than I do, they almost look like they're positioning to do a pit maneuver. Would you say? You see how they're almost on the left side of that vehicle?
Yeah, they do. They are inching up, and that may be because we're getting right back to the City of Hope, where, you know, this is the same. Okay, well, he missed the turn, but right there would have been the turn to go back into the City of Hope Hospital, where he went through the parking garage earlier. So I don't know if there was any kind of concern that they didn't really want him to get back into that area. But Pat, you know, to your point, he has been driving so aimlessly. I cannot believe how lucky he has gotten to not run into a dead end in this whole thing, especially that last parking lot. You know, sometimes those gas station car wash parking lots go nowhere, and it's just remarkable that he has managed to get so lucky that he hasn't caught himself in a dead end yet.
You know, guys, can you explain? Oh, they're getting even closer here. Okay, well, they still didn't do it. I was thinking they were going to pit him as he came around the corner there.
Yeah.
Just in terms of spike strips, how many, how long does it take? Okay, they used one, they deployed one, didn't happen the way they wanted it to. So does it take that long? Is there another unit that would prepare for a spike strip?
I would venture a guess that that there's more than one unit out here that has spike strips if need be. We did hear some of the chatter earlier when the dispatcher was asking, you know, which of these numbered vehicles had spike strips in them as we go into yet another parking lot here. And I mean, again, what better opportunity is there to pit someone than in an empty parking lot and just bring this to an end? But just CHP not interested in doing that this evening. So we'll see if anyone else has spike strips out there, because we were just on Highland Avenue for probably, you know, the 5th time. Seems like it would have been, you know, another ample opportunity to try that again.
And Desmond, I was just about to say, based on the way this suspect has been driving in the places that he's gone, the hospital parking lot, and then parading around the West Covina Mall, it seemed like that police have had ample amount of times to, you know, get those spike strips out and in some really good situations to be successful.
Well,
yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's really, frankly, kind of baffling why they're allowing this to go on for so long. If they, the only thing I can think of is that they know or suspect something else that, you know, we are not privy to is really the only thing I can guess right now.
Would you say, especially CHP guys, of all the agencies, just in terms of deploying spike strips, doing pit maneuvers, bringing something to an end as quickly as they possibly see fit, CHP would be the agency to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gosh, I remember, you know, countless pursuits where within 5 minutes of CHP being involved, the second they got the opportunity for a pit maneuver, bam, it was done, pursuit was over. And they just, for whatever reason, have, you know, been deciding to take a totally different tack tonight. You know, we know that that LAPD and LA County Sheriff's deputies have really changed their tune in general in regards to pursuits and going into tracking modes, or even just giving up pursuits, you know, completely. Some of the smaller agencies and the Inland Empire and Orange County agencies still tend to, you know, be on the more aggressive side with these things. In general, you know, CHP, I mean, maybe they're just kind of more of a wild card now at this point, where they may be, you know, one sergeant on duty may call for an aggressive maneuver, and another may just say, well, okay, well, this guy's just going 20, 30 miles an hour. We're just going to see where this leads, see if they run out of gas, see if we can, you know, get them to stop at a dead end or something like that. And okay, now this is the first time I think we're going on like a bike trail right now off of a wash from Central Avenue and Huntington Drive. So where are we going to go now? Let's just widen out and see. I think actually it looks like this is going to go out into some neighborhoods as well. So this suspect, as aimless as they are, they definitely seem to be pretty familiar with where they're aimlessly driving.
This is that same side road that we were on earlier, Des, that kind of parallels the Bradbury Channel, and he'll come back out kind of on the Bloomsdale and I think Central Avenues down there as well. So second time rather, we've been on this exact same road.
Well, I'm sure the residents are appreciating all this commotion, hearing the sirens, and know that this is, if that's not, and that's the second time that they've ended up in this particular area.
Yeah,
I would also think because of that as well that they want to bring this to an end. And Des, as you were talking about, no rhyme or reason necessarily for the CHP, because we have seen them do pit maneuvers when a car was going well over 35 miles an hour, and they just wanted to stop it. So we have seen that happen. Mike?
Yeah, and again, I mean, we've seen the whole gamut with CHP, from the kinder, gentler side of surrounding vehicles to pit maneuvers on the freeway and spike strips and pepper balls and bean bags and canine officers, really, and everything in between. So but tonight, this is just I guess let the suspect cruise around for as long as he wants tonight.
And when the suspect has seemingly stopped and gestured to police, we don't know on the ground what he's saying to police. We don't know what information that they have. But, especially with those two traffic breaks, Desmond, one on the 10 and then the other on the 605, when they had plenty of space and a good time and a good situation to put those spike strips out. Then we did see one failed attempt. We don't know what actually happened there, if the strips got coiled up or if that officer, thought the car was just too close and decided to, get out of the way while the car came through. But we've seen this guy stop at least 3 times, gesturing to police, doing what he's doing now.
I wonder what he's saying, or what he's trying to get them to do. Get away from him?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Des.
Well, I mean, look at this perfect pit angle right now. I mean, just look at this. Like, it just seems like it would be so easy to just to do it right here. I mean, I think all of us are just wondering, like why? Why is this? There was look, there was another spike strip attempt, but again, the suspect evaded it. That time they were able to unfurl it the whole way, but they may have just telegraphed it a little bit too much there, and so that's now the second attempt that we've seen. Okay, are we coming in now with a
he's speeding up? Thought he might do something.
Yeah, just not sure here. Out on Huntington Drive, a big wide street. There's no parked cars. It just really seems to me like here as we go over the San Gabriel River, like this could be over really quickly.
And you know something, for a DUI suspect, I mean, we haven't seen him do too many things, right? I mean, he sped up at that point when they tried to deploy the spike strip the first time, but other than that, haven't seen really any reckless driving from this person. And
that's kind of the down. I mean, low speeds are great. We don't want anybody to get hurt, but the downside of that is he has plenty of time to react when he sees the spike strips. When you're going so slow like that, he could very easily drive right around them because he doesn't have to, his more reaction time. And, really quick, while we're kind of looking at this, I just wanted to show you guys on my computer here where we've been. And all this orange line this is the CHP helicopter that I'm tracking. And look at this. Look how many times we have just been in the same area. This is that business park area where he was. The City of Hope is right down here. So we have done nothing but kind of circle the same area over and over again. Come back out a little bit further. This is where it started. Here's SkyCal, when you can see where we picked it up, and we've been kind of doing the same thing here. So just over and over again, really kind of all in the same area, back and forth, kind of up and down, but kind of dedicated to that Duarte, San Gabriel Valley kind of area.
And we've even seen this suspect use turn signals at some points. And Mike, you got information that police did run the plates and they know who the car belongs to. Do you think that, based on the reaction from CHP, that at this point this may not be a DUI suspect, but maybe something mental going on, or they have some information that we don't have?
Well, that's what I wondered. I had my colleague Jim ask CHP if there was anything new with the registered owner, the CHP, and then back into another parking lot here. Yeah. Is this the same car wash, Des, that we were in earlier?
I think so. My pilot Dylan and I were hoping that he was going, if he would have continued a little farther, that would have been a dead end, and they probably knew that and came back out. And so this continues back out onto Irwindale Avenue. So yeah, I mean, we're just circling around the same area, and this is just starting to. It's just tying up so many resources now. They've got helicopters on this. We've got all these CHP officers that are out here. I just don't understand what the plan is, or why this is continuing to go on.
And thankfully, right now, he doesn't seem to be. We haven't seen him really be a danger to the public or other people, other motorists on the road, which is, you know, we've seen them do a lot more aggressive maneuvers to get people to stop. So you do wonder, again, and for a DUI suspect, he's been reacting to those spike strips pretty good. He seems to have pretty fast reaction when it comes to that.
He does, and I just you know, wanted to make a point too. I have not heard any radio traffic about CHP being able to actually hear what he is saying. You know, those officers have not verbalized that to the communications center, that they, you know, say he's yelling this, he's saying that. So I don't know. He's certainly yelling, but several times he's had the window mostly rolled up. So I don't know if the officers are even able to really tell kind of what he is saying. So, you know, there's that thing as well. But obviously he's trying to communicate in some form, and that may be why the CHP is a little bit hesitant. There you see on the right side of your screen where he is screaming. But again, the window is kind of up. It's cracked a little bit, and I don't know that the officers can actually even hear what's going on.
It's almost as if he's saying, "Hey, what do you want, guys?"
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's throwing his hands up like that. Like, well, why are you behind me? Well, now he's got his hazards on.
And,
the signal, hazard signal.
And Mike, are we sure that this is just one suspect in the car?
Yeah, that's what CHP told us. They think it's only occupied what they called one time, and now we're kind of coming to a stop again. We'll see what happens this time. There he is with his hands out the window again, very upset about even being chased in this pursuit. You know, I had my colleague both hands out the window now while the car still rolls.
Well, that's not good.
And we've seen him do this time and time, and then he drives right back off.
Have we seen him, though, driving with his hands up off the wheel with the car still in motion?
That was new. That was new. Yeah, and you know, we asked CHP if there is any new information, if they were able to make contact with that registered owner. CHP says they, at least the people that we speak with at the Traffic Management Center, they don't have any new information. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see if those guys were able to get out there to the registered owner's home or speak with them or figure out who's even driving. I mean, if it is the registered owner, they may know who he is, but you know, they're just, you know, obviously trying to get something to bring this guy to an end, or even to have a bargaining chip with him if they can make contact with him and, you know, figure out what his issue is.
Let's remind our viewers, how did this start in the first place? They got a call about a guy driving erratically? Or?
So, yeah, well, Monterey Park picked it up, Monterey Park PD, which, by the way, we're pretty far east of. We've never really made it back west towards Monterey Park, but Monterey Park PD was the one who chased this, and they chased him into West Covina, and that is where CHP picked it up. Now, we've tried to get a hold of Monterey Park PD. They're a smaller agency. Watch Commander's not answering our phone calls right now, but it's unclear if they got a phone call, if they observed something that made them think that he was DUI, or what exactly that scenario was. But either way, Monterey Park PD tried to pull him over. It didn't work. Took off to West Covina, circled around the West Covina Mall. That's when SkyCal kind of got overhead, and CHP was just taking over as he was on the westbound 10. We went westbound 10 to the northbound 605, got off on surface streets, and we've been kind of doing this same song and dance near the 210 and the 605. And now as we're finally getting, I think, the furthest east we've been as we come into kind of Azusa now. This is the CHP helicopter again, so you can kind of see right where we're at. This is Azusa, the west side rather, of Azusa here on Vernon Avenue.
Well, he has been committed to streets, surface streets, for quite some time now, as opposed to getting back on a freeway. So that almost makes you think, or makes you believe, that he possibly knows where he is, or he is thinking of a plan to possibly stop. But, you know, you never know, because we're at this point, we really don't understand. If it's just a DUI, then you stop.
Yeah, or if there's something more going on. And, you know, it's kind of good that he hasn't gotten on the freeway. I mean, he was going at such low speeds on the 10 that they were doing a traffic break behind him and really causing a mess on the freeway. So at least we've been kind of in these industrial areas, minimal impact of traffic. We're in an area where there's really not any pedestrians. You know, hasn't done a whole lot to... You know, and that could be why CHP is just letting him do his thing and wait until he just decides to be done.
And Mike, didn't at one point Irwindale PD try to get on this? What happened with that?
Yeah, so CHP is an agency that it's all theirs or it's not. And so Irwindale tried to get involved, and CHP said, hey, this is ours, you know, back out. And they did the same thing to Monterey Park. Monterey Park was trailing them for a while, and they also asked Monterey Park to back out. That's just their policy. They want to be in full tactical control of the pursuit. CHP has their own policies, their own rules for pursuits, and they just want to make sure that everybody is kind of playing with the same playbook or the same rule book when it comes to chases. And they can do that by making sure that it's only their officers, as we're kind of getting a little bit closer to the car there. I keep waiting. You know, we're at 17 miles an hour here, turning into another parking lot.
Yep, anticipation. And we know, too, if CHP wanted Irwindale or any other agency, they would ask them to get involved.
Right. And we've seen that with at least some spike strips, but, you know, they've asked outside agencies to help them with some spikes, but they haven't done that in this situation. And, I keep thinking he gets real close there, that back unit. I keep thinking that he's going to want to make the move, but they just don't.
And Desmond, it seems like that this suspect has been choosing these places where he goes in, and as we've seen, he can easily get out.
He's picking up speed now, Des.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, we are up to 50, even 60 miles an hour all of a sudden on some of these surface streets. So the speed's suddenly going up, but it really just seems like he's just kind of toying with the officers, just taunting with them. All of the words out the window, going in and out of parking lots, all the words exchanged, the hand motions. It looked like he maybe even kind of brake checked officers at one point. And CHP is usually the agency that does not put up with any of that. So that's why this has been just so confounding how long this has gone on. And not to mention that we've been on surface streets about 85 or 90% of the time. Are we getting on the freeway right now, though? Yes, we are. It looks like we're going to be getting on the westbound 210. So definitely going to have, you know, some more vehicles out here. Now we're going to have those units run those traffic brakes again. And what is the play here? Getting back on the freeway. It just seems like we've just kind of been on a tour of the San Gabriel Valley with what we've hit. We've been near the Santa Fe Dam and those big holes in Irwindale. We had the big shopping center in West Covina, a bunch of different parking lots in Duarte, and now let's see where we head next as we are westbound on the 210.
Yeah, well, you're talking about tying up even more resources, as you mentioned, with him being on the freeway, because, you know, even to do traffic breaks, that takes extra manpower, if you will, or extra resources, and then you tie up all the other motorists that are on the freeways. At the same time, now he's picking up speed again, or driving as you would on a freeway. And it just, we really don't see any end in sight to this, or any playbook necessarily, because he's just done everything possible that we thought would have ended a long time ago, but it has not.
And Desmond, you talked about how you were baffled as CHP hasn't, you know, put an end to this. We know we had 2 spike strip attempts, but at this point, what do you think it's going to take for them to finally do something or make that decision to put this to bed? Because, like you said, at this point, it's just wasting resources.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're back on the freeway, I can't really see any serious attempt going on. I mean, really, the hope at this point is probably that the suspect didn't have much gas in the tank when this, you know, when this all got initiated well over an hour ago, more like I think 90 minutes ago now, when we first heard some of the reports of this. So I don't know. I mean, the way that they're reacting and just kind of letting the suspect do whatever they want when they've had every opportunity in the world to stop this makes me think that that's the play. Just let the suspect parade around until they run out of gas, because there really have not, besides the 2 spike strip attempts, one of which was wildly unsuccessful. We're just not really seeing much in the way of anything other than stay behind the suspect and call out the streets and the speed.
You know, it's almost as if we didn't know any better, watching him actually toy with police, and I'm going to say toy, when he was waving at them and making those gestures. I mean, he hasn't been over the speed limit. It's almost as if he's just a normal driver on the freeway and even on surface streets, except the police are following him and they're trying to get him to stop, and he won't stop. I mean, you just don't go through parking lots and keep it going like it's a maze if, you know, if you have good intentions. And
that's what we were talking about. You look at him in these, he looks very confused as to why he is being chased, you know.
Well, just stop and find out.
Right. Especially here on a Friday night, just stop. And Mike, we were talking about this a little earlier about the running the plates and how police handle that information, and how they'll try to maybe reach out to a family member or a friend or someone who knows this man and try to talk with him and try to contact him and convince him to stop.
Yeah, and in some situations that works. In some situations they get a family member on the phone who, you know, can at least give CHP some more information. But whatever attempts they were making at tracking down somebody who knows this person, or if he's not the registered owner of the car, figuring out who that is, doesn't seem to be successful, because I've not heard any information relayed to the officers on the ground about who this is or what might be going on with him. So if they have made those attempts, which it sounded like they were trying to, it doesn't sound like they've paid off at all, because CHP has not gained any new information about the person behind the wheel.
Let's get back up to Des to find out exactly where this person is now. They exit the freeway?
Yep, off at Arrow Highway and headed back east again. It's the second time that we've been on Arrow Highway, so we're not too far away from the Santa Fe recreation area. Actually, that's it right there on the left. And this is, you know, just parading around. I'm seeing people on, Mike, I don't know if you heard this, but on social media anyway, you know, some of our scanner friends are saying that PIT was requested and PIT was denied. I did not hear that, but not, you know, and not sure why that would be, but I think at the end of the day, it's up to the sergeant in charge.
What do you say, Mike?
I did not hear that request. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. You know, sometimes we can miss some of that scanner traffic, but who knows? I mean, if the watch commander is content, or the sergeant that's calling this is content, like Des said, with just kind of letting this guy try to run out of steam, if he's not driving terribly aggressively, you know, who knows why they would want to not bring this to an end? You know, it's kind of weird, but you know, who knows? They may have their reasons. They may know something that we don't, or they may worry that it agitates them. You know, we've seen the 2 times that they've tried spike maneuvers, the guy's speeds kind of spike right after that. So maybe they're worried that if they try to spin him out or do something like that, it's going to make his driving more aggressive, which is not what they want. But at the same time, you know, it could bring it all to an end. So who knows? The sergeant just may not want to take that chance and may not want to take that risk.
And Mike, you showed us a map earlier with this suspect, how seemingly driving circles in the same area. So it seems like he may be used to this area. This may be an area he's familiar with. And you know, at one point, how we were talking about police contacting, you know, where the license plate came back, the home, and trying to get that person on the phone. At one point, we were hoping that maybe because he was in the same area, that at some point he would go home or go to the address where the car is registered to. Yeah,
you know, if he wasn't familiar with this area before, he certainly is now, because that's all we've been doing is driving up and down the same streets. I don't know if our director Mike in the booth can, yeah, here we are. Here's my computer again. So, yeah, you know, this is the CHP line. This is where CHP's helicopter H-50 was right when they joined this chase. And here's the bulk of where we've been, just kind of paralleling the 210 freeway here, back down on the 605. This is SkyCal. Whether or not he lives in the area, you know, we didn't get a chance to hear any of that on the radio when they were running the plate, but it's just really hard to tell. But CHP at this point just seems content to let this go until it doesn't.
And he's a long way from where this started, though. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Monterey Park.
And that is, you know, that's a really good point. And Mike, if we can take my computer one more time, I just kind of want to give reference here. So Monterey Park is over here. This is the city of Monterey Park, you know, kind of by the 10, the 60, and the 710. And he's all the way over here. So he left Monterey Park pretty quick. And this is the West Covina Plaza right here, where he was kind of doing all of those circles for a while before he came up. And this is really the bulk of where he's been hanging out. So you're right, Pat. He did get out of Monterey Park pretty quick. Hasn't really made an effort to go back to that area. So who knows if he's just fine to drive in circles around here, if he knows this area, or what his deal is.
Yeah, and he seems confused when several times he's stopped, and even at some points it seemed like he was maybe taunting officers or asking what's going on or what are you doing. At one point it seemed like he clasped his hands like he was praying inside the car, and then at one point looking forward, and that's what made us think, hey, is there someone else in the car? Because he was yelling and talking just in the car. But he seems very confused. So at this point, I am wondering how CHP has been handling this, if they do have some kind of information about this suspect that we just don't have yet.
And you're thinking if he was confused that he would stop and ask them why
get some clarification.
Yeah, as to what's going on and why they're following him. But you know, even if people say, well, I don't trust law enforcement, well, you're not really going to win at this point. At some point or another, you know, it's going to end some way.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you're going to stop and have to get out, and you'll be in handcuffs anyway.
And now we're stopped at a green light. Now it's turning yellow and then red, but...
And look, is that an officer outside?
It is, but it's not CHP. So what city are we in? This may be Baldwin Park PD, I think, maybe even El Monte PD, which, you know, CHP is not going to want them to be involved in this, but as we come back through the light here, you know, the other thing, just a minute ago, he was, again, had his hands out, kind of yelling, gesturing, and there's really no rhyme or reason as to why he starts doing that. You know, the law enforcement CHP isn't, you know, when he starts to do that, they're not getting more aggressive with their tactics, they're not doing anything, but for whatever reason, something sets him off, and he starts flailing and yelling and waving his hands out the window again.
I was trying to point out, it looked like there was an officer out of the vehicle.
Yeah,
was that Baldwin Park?
At that intersection, yeah, that looked like it was Baldwin Park PD or one of the local law enforcement agencies. Like the uniform, they were in either black or blue, and CHP's all tan.
Just trying to make an observation there, because if they were that concerned about this person being armed, would they be out of the vehicle?
Well, there's that point too, and the other thing is, you know, when you get into these cities, if this guy gets out and run, whatever, that's when CHP will ask for the local jurisdiction to come in and help. So you got these smaller PDs here that are probably hovering a little bit. That way, if the guy stops and runs, they can be there to help the CHP pretty fast.
Yeah, and this guy's been all over the place. And Pat, we were talking about this earlier. The first time we saw him put his hands up out of the car, and the car's still just rolling on.
Yeah, with his hands not on the wheel,
Right.
obviously, but just let the car roll there.
It kind of looks to you guys, and as Desmond was getting that angle there,
Uh-oh.
So close.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, it kind of looks like as Des was getting that angle, the back seat might be filled with stuff. I noticed some stuff kind of in that back window there. So
Back on the freeway.
There's a lot of stuff in this car. Des, you said we're getting on the freeway?
Yeah, back on the northbound 605, it looks like. So, yep, just on the freeway, off the freeway, Monterey Park to West Covina to Irwindale, and I guess we're headed back towards Duarte and Irwindale again. I mean, you start to wonder, like, if the fatigue level of the officers that are in the pursuit here, of the tactical flight officer in the air, you know, at this point, it's just it's just such an aggravating situation all the way around, and it just seems like the suspect is just running the clock out as long as they want. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're live streaming this on social media in the era that we live in. We know that has happened plenty of times in the past. I would not be at all surprised if that's happening right now. And it's just, CHP is just allowing this to happen. When, I mean, there's been countless opportunities to just perform a pit maneuver and get this done, or to get a spike strip unfurled when they're, you know, stopped at a light for 2 minutes, or any of these opportunities. And you know, just Friday night joyriding around the San Gabriel Valley, and I'm just really curious what the logic is here from the people calling the shots to just allow this to go on.
And really quick, Pat and Chauncey, I wanted to bring up too, you know, Desmond just mentioned fatigue, or, you know, potential fatigue by the officers. This is a little bit of a unique situation with CHP. Usually we see these people get some sort of geographical distance on these, and that allows the CHP officers to swap out as they come into different areas. They have been exclusively in the Baldwin Park office of the CHP, and those officers have not changed out at all, which is unusual for CHP, because usually we would go from Baldwin Park to East LA, and each one of those different offices, you get a new set of officers that come in. But because this guy has never left the Baldwin Park area of the CHP, it's been these same officers the entire time, and the same sergeant calling the shots. When we go into a different area, you get a new sergeant who can make new decisions. So the situation is almost a little bit static here, because you have the same sergeant making the call, the same officers behind the vehicle, and that's just kind of where we're at until he leaves and goes into a new area. And at this point, he's going east, and he's not going to hit a new area until he gets into San Bernardino County. And that is a good chunk of distance that he would have to cover, which so far he is not, even though we are now eastbound on the 210. We'll see. But the way this guy has been going, he'll jump off the freeway and stay right within the same area.
Desmond, you know, it's interesting. I hear we talk about this a lot in terms of them actually wanting to get a fresh set of eyes on a pursuit that has gone some distance. And this has certainly gone some distance tonight, staying in that same area. But it looks like they're going to make, are they trying to make an exit, Des?
Yeah, exiting here at Irwindale Avenue, where we've been maybe about a dozen times. I think I saw half a peace sign coming out the window directed at the officers behind him. And but you know, CHP still just allowing this recalcitrance to continue this Friday evening in the San Gabriel Valley.
Well, you know what? We're going to be making some switches as well. We're going to be going back and forth as we have been most of the evening, because we're going to be joining Stephen Colbert here on CBS Channel 2. However, if you want to follow the pursuit, we'll be switching over to Channel 9 on KCAL. So KCAL News at 11. Back on KCAL 9, we'd like to welcome our viewers who have been following this pursuit with us for quite some time now. Actually, since the 10 p.m. hour, we are still, CHP is still behind this vehicle, this supposed DUI suspect who has made such a route here from Monterey Park to the San Gabriel Valley, and he has really stayed in this area of the San Gabriel Valley for quite some time now. I would say at least an hour, guys, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think we came on the air, gosh, 10:30, just before 10:30. So yeah, now we're over an hour now, and then that was going on before we got overhead too for about 10 or 15 minutes. So you know, it's been going on for well over an hour now, and at this point, you know, we've still got plenty of fuel. It's a CHP helicopter that's got plenty of fuel, but how much fuel does the guy in the car have?
Right. And you talked about fatigue earlier. I think we're all fatigued just watching this guy just drive on and on and on. Once again, this started probably about an hour ago when we got on it, but it started out of Monterey Park, a suspected DUI driver here. We've seen him go from West Covina to the 10 to the 605. Also, CHP still on his tracks at one point doing 2 different traffic breaks and had a lot of space. And we also watched this suspect stop twice, taunting police, asking or putting his hands up out of the car, also yelling to police out of the car. And then we had those 2 unsuccessful attempts with those spike strips, and we don't know what happened with that first one, but that seemed to be a good opportunity. The second one seeming to be a better opportunity, but once again he just stops and then speeds right back off.
And what was so disconcerting about the spike strips not working is probably that, you know, he was driving rather slowly. It's not as if he was going so fast that he just immediately went around the spike strips. He looks like he had a while to do that, and I was pointing out to Mike, for a DUI suspect, he certainly had, he did have fast reaction to those spike strips and was able to avoid them.
And you know, my days get confused. It was either yesterday or the day, I think it was yesterday, the Sheriff's Department were chasing that stolen U-Haul, and when that U-Haul came to a stop, the Sheriff's Department, a couple deputies ran up and tossed some spikes underneath the tires. And then as soon as the car took off, ate up those tires, and the pursuit came to an end pretty quickly. So, see, again, we've talked about it a number of times, but CHP doesn't seem to be interested in doing that as we get back now on the 210 eastbound, which would take us a little bit further east than really that he's been, but still kind of all in the same area.
And he's really not, there's no rhyme or reason really to how he's driving right now. You know, we've seen him, he commits to the 210, then he gets off and goes to surface streets for a while. Now he's back on the 210. But really, in terms of to understand that he's probably picking a place that he's familiar with and that he's going to stop and either bail or just give himself up, we don't seem to have, can't really make that call right now.
And he really hasn't gone over 75, 80 miles per hour. And Des, we were talking about the spike strip situation, that first attempt, you know, we don't know specifically what happened there, but maybe from your vantage point, I mean, it happened so fast, that officer was pretty close to this suspect. So maybe that's why he sort of backed off.
I think so, yeah. I think maybe he was almost kind of trying to creep up on the suspect, maybe, you know, while the suspect was taunting the officers and trying to get the spike strip out there, but then right as he was unfurling it, the suspect saw him. I think it might have kind of freaked the officer out a little bit, being in harm's way, and then the spike strip just didn't come out, you know, as well as it could have. And I think we all wish that would not have been the case. And it's so it continues. It just seems like, you know, a couple of those spike strip attempts apparently is all that has been authorized at this point. you just don't know what to expect when it comes to CHP. I will say, you know, I'm kind of surprised, especially because we've been driving slow speeds in really kind of the same area. Well, here's somebody right here who might realize what's going on, a cyclist right there with a bike, because when these kind of pursuits go on for a long time at slow speeds in the same area, a lot of times it ends up turning into a circus out here. You get people that start gathering. You see them come out and they wave and they want to get on TV. They want to get some video for their social media, for Instagram or what have you. I mean, we've seen instances where the public ends up getting involved in pursuits if they end up going on so long. So it's not as though just allowing this suspect to continue to go out and basically do whatever they want, that there's no risk to that either. Because you definitely run the risk of that happening, of the public coming out, getting in the street, making contact with the suspect. It has happened multiple times in the past. So, you know, that is something that CHP should be weighing in their, you know, basically docile pursuit that they are conducting tonight.
And I can't tell from from sitting here in the desk, well, he is back on the freeway. I mean, just as we were talking, he made the exit on the surface streets, and now he is back on the freeway. Now, is he getting ready to make an exit again? It seems like he's in the far right lane.
Yeah, kind of a dangerous maneuver there as we get off the freeway again at Irwindale Avenue. So he did kind of cut that truck off there at the last second. That kind of last second psych out that we quite often see with suspects thinking that, you know, they're really clever to do that. But all CHP had to do was slam on the brakes and get off the off-ramp. That did not work on this officer. But you know, and now we're back out again in Irwindale, right off Irwindale Avenue. I believe we'll be coming up to Huntington Drive and crossing the San Gabriel River for the 27th time tonight. And yeah, here we are at Irwindale Avenue and Foothill Boulevard set up for that left-hand turn.
And Desmond, police have gotten really close to this suspect, and even at one point you thought that they were going in for that pit maneuver. You know, what do you think about that? I mean, I'm surprised that they haven't gone in yet because of the positions that they've been in.
It really is shocking. I mean, there were literally times where the suspect was stopped at an angle where the officer, all they would have to do is push on the gas pedal and go like 5 feet. And it's almost, it was like, you know, I just don't know what to think of that. Just thinking about in the past how we have never seen CHP hesitate to do a pit maneuver. I mean, you know, my goodness, we've seen it happen on the freeway. You know, in fact, even twice in one pursuit to bring a pursuit to an end. So clearly the sergeant on duty tonight is just, if they're just trying to take a different tact, or if they had some, you know, orders come down from a higher up, or what the deal is. But they are just giving the suspect as much rope as they want to run with.
You know, I noticed the officer had opened the doors to the car when they were stopped at that light, and there was another driver in front of this one, which I thought was a bit, maybe a bit unusual, because I'm thinking, well, I mean, if he really wanted to get away, he would have just driven around that car that was stopped at the light, but he didn't, and the officer, I guess, just got back in the vehicle because the doors closed, and here we are, just following this motorist again, who is driving quite slowly. In fact, at one point, he got down to below double digits there, and that's when I really thought, well, okay, maybe he's running, maybe he can't go any further, but there he is. Still not driving fast at all, but continuing on his merry way in the San Gabriel Valley. Do we know what street he's on now, Des?
Yeah, Foothill Boulevard, and you know, Foothill Boulevard, Huntington Drive, basically the same street. It's the same stretch of asphalt that just kind of changes names a few times here. So we're right by the San Gabriel River as I widen out, and that's why it's so dark right here. Basically, the dividing line between Irwindale and Duarte, Bradbury, that area. So westbound here. And we'll see if they, you know, decide to get on the 605 or the 210, or if we head back over by City of Hope. But I don't know. I mean, at what point does CHP just get fed up with this as well? I mean, again, a lot of resources being tied up. Okay.
Oh,
Whoa.
He is stopping again.
So we've got.
You got an officer at gunpoint.
Now this is okay. Look at this.
Oh, and the
okay.
spike.
Okay. We've got spike strips out. Now he's going to try, and he just lets him get right beyond it. He was even out there with his gun drawn, and
Okay, well,
it's very weird, very weird.
yeah, that is strange.
So really quick, guys, I do have a little bit of an update. I just talked to CHP. They do have somebody at the house of the registered owner, and they are trying to talk to that person right now to gain some more information. And I've learned that the driver of the car is not the registered owner of the car. So we're hoping, CHP is hoping that soon they will, now we're stopped into that pesky tree, they're hoping soon that they'll gain some information from the people on the ground that are talking to the family members, who I'm told is the registered owner of the person. That's the relationship to the driver. You'll also notice you don't see the spotlight anymore from the CHP helicopter.
Right.
It just went out. It's not that's not a conscious choice by CHP. Apparently it's just broken. It's tired of the chase as well. And it's not working anymore. So that's where we're at. They do have somebody at the home of the registered owner. Apparently the person that owns this car, this person is, oh, here we go, throwing another spike right under the back tires.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, great. So I don't think he's going to be able to dodge this.
A little bit of an
let's,
overshot.
let's see. Let's not get our hopes up here. That's true. It should actually probably retract that just a little bit to make sure. But now we are at a stop here. And this is definitely the toughest situation that the suspect has been in so far off Encanto and Huntington Drive. So this is just on the west of the San Gabriel River, right on the edge of Duarte and Bradbury, up in this residential area below the foothills. So let's see, is this going to turn into a standoff? And again, just with the motions, with the hands, again, it was a suspected DUI driver, so very high probability that this person is not in a very good state of mind right now. Chauncey, Pat, Mike.
And this is the longest we've seen the suspect stay still. We've seen him stop and go, but this is the longest that he's sat still. And Mike, you talked about the police being able to get to the house of the owner who the car is registered to. Hopefully, it makes me to believe that they may have made contact with this suspect, and now he's finally trying to bring this to some kind of closure, because we haven't seen him stop much longer than this.
They just shot the windows out.
Pepper ball. There we go. Beanbags. Yep. All right. So finally, CHP. I was wondering when I said when they were going to get fed up with this. I think they're finally fed up. They got the spike strips out. We got beanbags going through the rear of the window there. This guy's got to know they mean business. Your parade is over. Come out with your hands up, so we can all get on with our lives.
And maybe when they talked to the person and found out that the one driving that the car does not belong to him. Mike, is that what I understand?
The owner is it's not stolen or anything like that. The owner of the car is a family member to the driver, is what I'm told. And did it look like he had keys in his hand? I couldn't tell if he just dropped the keys. That would be great.
Yeah, I can't tell. I don't see any keys out there on the sidewalk here as we are doubled all the way up. But this is the first time we've seen the hands out. And, for all of that the suspect had tonight to run, it seems like the second that beanbag went through the rear window, it really shook him out of whatever state he was in. And hopefully he has realized that it's time to give this up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much behind that conversation that they decided, okay, we're going to do another spike strip. And
there's some more.
Wow, hit
they
this guy and
completely
now
shut out that back window.
And now they're firing beanbags at him. Well, he's getting more agitated, because he's moving around a lot in there.
And really quick, guys, we're learning. Jim on our desk is telling me the suspect's brother is at the end of this pursuit, talking to officers now. So apparently CHP, sounds like the brother may have been trying to get up to the car. CHP is kind of keeping him at bay, but driver's door's open now.
Yeah, now I see him trying to come out.
All right.
He's out. Well, we could see his body, his full body. Still hasn't stepped out, though.
Looks like he's yelling, stop.
Yeah, we can mouth that. That does seem pretty obvious. He's yelling stop at the officers. But again, this is what I was saying. I just don't understand why you continue like this, because now you run the risk of having pepper balls or something shot at you, or getting tased or whatever. It's pretty clear when a pursuit is going like this, you're going to end up in handcuffs one way or the other. It's just a matter of how much pain, how much discomfort, how much damage to the vehicle are you willing to endure for just a little bit more time not being in those handcuffs. But it looks like this will hopefully be coming to an end here shortly.
It looks like he had on a pair of headphones that fell and he picked them up.
Or a hat.
But sir, just get down on the ground, all right? And I'm just saying that for your own good. He's walking away, that's not good.
Yeah, there's something.
All right, now he's down. All right.
Finally.
Smartest decision he's made all night.
Yes. Des, it seemed like was that his hat that fell off and then he picked it up? That was surprising to me that we didn't see officers react to that.
Yeah, sorry guys, we're dealing with a little bit up here. We might have to leave here pretty quick because of some weather concerns, but we wanted to see if we can at least get the end of this. You saw that with the red lights there from the tasers. They finally got this guy in handcuffs. The Friday night joyride that seemed to never end around the San Gabriel Valley, finally ending with the code 4, one suspect in custody. Pat, Chauncey, and Mike.
All right, looks like it's a in and out night for Desmond. Okay, thanks so much, Desmond.
We can still make it. We can still make it, Pat.
That's what I'm saying. You got 10 more minutes, my friend. All right, well, we're glad that this has come to an end and that no one was hurt, not even the driver, really. And that's a good thing. And when it comes to these pursuits, we don't like to see any innocent people hurt, and certainly not the ones themselves, because we don't know the story behind this, but it doesn't, I mean, the person was not driving recklessly for the most part, wasn't driving over the speed limit.
Yeah, and we're seeing Desmond Schott pull out there, dealing with some clouds, so they're going to get out of there right now.
Certainly the best phrase of the day, code 4.
That's right. All right, and that's it for us. We're going to call a code 4 here for us here at KCAL News. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and hope to see you